Designing for Astigmatism and Visual Impairment. This is a guide for potential web designers on how to take astigmatism into account when designing web pages and applications. This will cover what astigmatism is, its symptoms, and what to do to make your site accessible for those who suffer from it. Astigmatism is an ocular condition where the curvature of the eye's cornea or lens is irregular, causing the light rays that grant sight to reach the retina in an unnatural way. Compared to common nearsightedness, myopia, a person's vision with astigmatism is blurred significantly and even the shape of an object can appear distorted or stretched. The ability to recognize common shapes and lines is severely compromised alongside many other symptoms like eye strain and headaches, especially when looking at monitors. The percentage of U.S. population with astigmatism is estimated to be around 30 to 33%, with most cases being found during their early childhood years. It's typically a hereditary condition that lasts an entire lifetime, and most children don't even realize how bad their vision is without visiting an eye doctor. Even after a doctor's visit, often they are diagnosed with myopia, causing their condition to remain or even get worse as they engage in strenuous visual tasks like reading and web browsing. This means that most people with astigmatism don't even realize that they have it. When designing web pages with astigmatism in mind, it's important to understand this condition requires more attention than myopia, in that if the conditions aren't met, it could lead to more serious consequences for the user. It's possible that a poor design could even inflate the already drastic symptoms of the user. The right design with severe visual impairments in mind can go a long way in helping screen users interact with the web. Close attention to font size, font color, shape size, shape color, headings, and paragraph styles can make a large difference in how someone is able to view a web page, and it requires little effort to make adjustments. It is also important to note that these changes will not just be useful for those with visual ailments, but generally everyone benefits from larger, simpler, and more informative design. The problem is everything looks alike. As we've covered, people with astigmatism have trouble distinguishing shapes and symbols that would otherwise be considered common knowledge among screen users. As a man who was diagnosed with astigmatism in my late teens, I can personally attest to the strain caused by small text and icons. For example, small symbolism of popular websites like YouTube have led me to commit some user errors. There are multiple icons, the play button and next button, that look like the same icon to me. Because of this, I end up either going to the next video by mistake, or I'll strain my eyes to try to distinguish them before clicking. Another example of symbols causing trouble involves how noticeable they are. Many sites use shading to determine whether a feature is active or not. Depending on how the colors blend with the background, this could cause someone to completely miss this important visual cue. The most common color for this is light gray or some lightly shaded color to signify an activity, but this would be hard to see against a white background. Lastly, there is the use of text. Most websites like to use tightly spaced blocks of text similar to that of a newspaper. This allows for more information to be packed onto a screen, but the many lines in a block of text can appear to almost combine for someone with blurred vision. A large block of text would simply look like a large, gray square if someone with astigmatism were to look at it. The solution is to reduce eye strain. The main goal when designing for astigmatism is to reduce the amount of potential strain to a user's eyes. This means less reading, less eye movement, larger words, and more noticeable colors should be included in the design. Whatever the point of the website is, it should be made clear and visible even if a user with decent eyesight is standing a few feet away. Display unique icons. Addressing our examples from earlier, any important symbols used to indicate actions on a website should be unique and easily distinguishable from other symbols. This leads to less confusion since no shape will look alike. Simply using words as a button would also be a good solution since there would be no need to distinguish symbols. Use explicit symbolism. When using shading as a signifier, gray is a commonly accepted color that most will understand. However, a brighter color like red would probably stick out more and be easier to see. Also, graying something out is more subtle and looks better, but a more noticeable signal would be an X or something along those lines to signal an inactive feature. Dark and night modes. Dark modes or night modes are significantly useful for preventing eye strain and reducing the amount of color the eye has to process. Night modes tint the screen with a shade which offers a similar effect as a dark mode. Longer lines of text lessen the load. When using text, getting the point across as efficiently as possible is recommended. Large, bold headings with important information in them will make understanding the message easier. Instead of large blocks of texts with multiple columns, long lines of large text will lessen the amount of eye movement and strain on the eye when reading paragraphs. Here are some helpful tools that are available when browsing. Dark mode and night mode. Most websites nowadays have dark modes that change the usual white background of a web page to a black one. Dark colors cause less strain on the eyes and the dark mode is becoming commonplace for many websites, so always check for a dark mode of any kind in the settings. If there isn't one, then request it. There are also specific apps that give screens a tinted overlay, making the entire screen easier to look at. Settings like a night mode will give the entire screen an orange or yellow tint. There are also external apps like Flux and Iris that offer this same effect with more customization. Thank you for viewing this guide.